Folks, I want to talk about Mark Carney. We've talked a lot over the last couple of weeks about Mark Carney's growing stranglehold on political power in this nation. He's been putting out some speeches and videos lately outlining a kind of direction for this country. There's more talk now that trade talks between America and Canada have started to heat up again. There's this new Canada-US Advisory Council as well that's being announced. Let's hear from Mark Carney about his new Canada-US Advisory Council.
The council will give advice to, I lost my breath. I got to get back in shape. Minister LeBlanc, myself, Madame Charette as the negotiator, other ministers. I'm very pleased to have that group. It's a diverse group, leaders from the union movement, experts in industry, and CEOs in finance and across the economy.
And who's he appointing on this Canada-US Advisory Council? I mean, one of the main players is former Conservative leader Erin O'Toole, once again reaching across the aisle. Who doesn't love a good reach around, folks? Once again, reaching around the aisle and ensuring that people like Erin O'Toole are in these influential positions within the administration. We love it. We all remember Erin O'Toole. You know what I'm going to post next. You know what I'm going to show next. So Mark Carney, he's basically the uber lib, right? It's like the ultimate expression of liberalism. Someone that comes down with this experience in banking and that has run in these very powerful circles for his entire career, walks into becoming prime minister of this country during this moment of crisis when we're faced with a Pierre Poilievre majority and we're facing all these threats from the United States. Just walks right into being the leader of the country politically. Someone who has the right letter next to his name, but who is governing fiscally as a conservative, slashing social programs, drastically increasing military spending, and appointing these prominent conservatives, people to positions of power within the administration, both Erin O'Toole on this Canada-US Advisory Council, and also making his administration appealing for conservatives to join via floor crossing. He's the lib final boss. We're being asked to believe that the Mark Carney majority was created via by-elections. We all know that's not the case. It's been through backroom dealings and floor crossings of these prominent conservatives. He's a version of Harper that doesn't get HR called on him for creeping people out. It's just it's really no wonder that he's achieved this level of prominence in Canadian politics already. This is the perfect politician for most normie Canadians, I think, right? This way you have Harper's policies, you have a smiling liberal face behind it. You have this kind of phony nationalist elbows up campaign that allows us to feel unified as a nation against these external threats, while simultaneously not meaningfully confronting these threats and increasing NATO spending and increasing military spending and increasing these economic ties when it comes to these military and security technologies with the US. Speaks with Nardwuar, plays hockey, drinks beer. He hangs out with Doug Ford. We watched that clip of Doug Ford the other day. And in fact, we should probably watch it again. We should watch this clip again because nothing exemplifies this political dynamic in this country more than this clip of Doug Ford. Doug Ford in this case is kind of a Trumpian figure. You can already acknowledge that he is in a number of different ways, but when he says the thing out loud that we're only supposed to suspect, when he acknowledges the thing that we suspect, there's so much crossover between the liberal and conservative ideology in this country, and he openly acknowledges that and spells it right out for everyone to see.
Premier Ford, you said you don't care about political stripe. I gotta ask you this though. Is it true that the first thing Mark Carney said to you is, "I'm more conservative than you are"?
He did. That's the only thing I'm going to divulge. We sat down at the restaurant because I don't share our conversation, but I thought it was funny. The first thing he said, "Premier, I'm more conservative than you." And I said, "Well, that's ironic, Prime Minister, because everyone accuses me of being a liberal. So what, but I'm a prudent fiscal manager, like we all are. It doesn't matter what political stripe."
I spend years talking about liberal democracy and how phony it is, and the crossover between these liberal and conservative parties, and how they agree on mostly everything except for a few small issues. And he just openly says it.
We sat down at the restaurant because I don't share our conversation, but I thought it was funny. The first thing he said, Premier, I'm more conservative than you. And I said, well, that's ironic, Prime Minister, because everyone accuses me of being a liberal.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
The curb theme would have been a good option as well. Canada, USA, UK, and anywhere else, really, no matter what the party, whatever they believe, we're all captivated by capitalism as a force. And this is what I've been talking about with liberal democracy lately, right? And yes, there's some differences. Yes, there's certain things that can be changed through organizing or voting for these different parties. I'm not going to sit here and suggest that these parties, there's 100% ideological agreement. But there is huge amounts of ideological agreement and major crossover between these two parties. And then there's vigorous debate between, certain aspects that we're allowed to kind of disagree on, usually kind of more social issues, maybe some minor differences with like social spending, maybe a little bit more emphasis towards the environment or unions versus, openly antagonizing these kinds of things. Yes, there's differences. But where it matters, when it comes to like ensuring that the economic machinery in these nations continues running smoothly, and that the people that actually own these countries, the banking conglomerates, the telecom companies, the oil cartels, and all these powerful interests, ensuring that that remains running smoothly at all costs, and that each party has a part to play in ensuring these economic gears keep turning no matter what. Sure, we'll invest billions in oil and pipelines. You can have one of these 400 Chinese EVs. And listen, I'm hoping to get one of these Chinese EVs. That's the one thing I think we can point to that Carney has done, which is making more of an effort to normalize relationship with China. And yeah, trying to import some of these EVs, which is good for the environment. It's better for the environment and is good for consumers as well. And it's good geostrategically as well to not antagonize this burgeoning superpower the way our previous governments have been doing. So sure, there's things that like these people can do that sometimes I will have a sort of approval of, but that's the basic point. The same thing I keep trying to get across to people is that where it really matters, all these parties are in just like 100% lockstep with one another. But I wanted to look. This video came out a couple days ago. Forward guidance. This is Mark Carney's personal YouTube account. This is Mark Carney on forward guidance. Well, what does he mean by this? I don't know. Let's check it out.
I know from experience that outside forces can sometimes seem overwhelming. My previous jobs at the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England was part of my duties to make regular public reports on what we were doing to manage the economy. And I remember during the financial crisis, when there was a real risk of panic, I developed a practice called forward guidance. It was designed to assure people that however difficult the situation seemed on any given day, that we were acting, and importantly, that we would continue to act with overwhelming force against our problems until they were solved. And that's the spirit I'm talking to you about today. Security.
That's right. Mark Carney's a YouTuber now. Getting into my territory, Mark. This is my world, sir. You better watch it. You better watch it, buddy. Yeah, he's got the bookshelf, the plant. No cool jellyfish light, though. Check and mate, my friend. How did that go? It went very well for extremely wealthy and powerful people like Mark Carney. It went very well for them. And that's the job that he was doing as governor of Bank of Canada and the Bank of England. And it's the job that he's doing now. It's the same job, protecting the same class of people. And yes, there is going to be some major historical revisionism in this one.
Security can't be achieved by ignoring the obvious or downplaying the very real threats that we Canadians face. I promise you, I will never sugarcoat our challenges. Instead, I will talk with you directly and regularly about our plan, why we're doing what we're doing, what's working, what isn't, and what we're going to do next. So here's the current situation. The world, as I said earlier, is more dangerous and divided. The U.S. has fundamentally changed its approach to trade, raising its tariffs to levels last seen during the Great Depression. Many of our former strengths, based on our close ties to America, have become our weaknesses that we must correct. Workers in our industries most affected by U.S. tariffs, in autos, in steel, in lumber, are under threat. Businesses are holding back investments, restrained by the pall of uncertainty that's hanging over all of us. The U.S. has changed, and we must respond. Canada Strong is our plan to build Canada by Canadians for Canadians. It will attract new investment so we can build more for ourselves, striking new partnerships abroad so we can sell into new markets. It's about taking back control of our security, our borders, and our future. There are some who say there's no need for a comprehensive plan. They believe we should wait it out in the hope that the United States will return to normal, that the good old days will come back. But hope isn't a plan, and nostalgia is not a strategy. And the days that young Canadians have known all their lives haven't been that good. Their lifetimes have been marked by a series of shocks and crises from abroad: the Iraq War, the global financial crisis, COVID, and now this. We have to take care of ourselves because we can't rely on one foreign partner. We can't control the disruption coming from our neighbors. We can't bet our future on the hope that it will suddenly stop. But we can control what happens here. We can build a stronger country that can withstand disruptions from abroad, that creates good jobs here at home, that's a leader in this new world with a vast network of reliable allies. That's the Canada Strong plan we're putting into action.
We're learning about forward guidance from Marx Carney. My favorite quote from this segment is when he said, "Communism is not love. Communism is a hammer, which we use to crush our enemy." I was surprised as anyone to hear him say this, but you do have to hand it to him sometimes. And he then went on to say, "If you want to know the taste of a pear, you must change the pear by eating it yourself. If you want to know the theory and methods of revolution, you must take part in revolution. All genuine knowledge originates in direct experience." Pretty amazing stuff.
To catalyze $1 trillion in investment, to create one Canadian economy out of 13, to build new trade and energy corridors, and to double the size of our clean energy capacity. Yes, that's ambitious. But in a crisis, fortune favors the bold. And there's comfort and confidence to be found in our country's history. After all, our ancestors built an improbable country in an inhospitable land where people were free to live their own lives. When I get into the office,
Was that
I
what
always
happened?
look at this.
What was that? What happened in the foundation of Canada? I feel like that description of the foundation of Canada might have papered over a few things. Call me crazy. We might want to check our sources on that one. People were simply free. People were simply free to live their own lives. But who? But which people? Probably a little bit more time could be spent maybe unpacking some of that.
When I get into the office, I always look at this statue on my desk. It was given to me by Mike Myers just over a year ago. And this is General Isaac Brock. Brock was a hero who fought and gave his life for our forebears in the War of 1812. Before Canada even existed on paper, it had a shape in Brock's imagination. Faced with the threat of an American invasion, Brock built alliances across our land and inspired what would eventually become Canada. Others carried that effort forward.
Yeah, I love that we're referencing the bullshit nationalist campaign with Mike Myers that helped propel him to the being prime minister of this country. One of my favorite quotes is when I spoke to comedian Mike Myers, and he asked me, "Do I make you horny, baby? Do I?" It would be funny if he was referencing this scene.
This is Commander Gilmore, U.S. Strategic Command, and General Borshevsky, Russian intelligence.
Russian intelligence? Are you mad?
A lot's happened since you were frozen. The Cold War's over.
Well, finally those capitalist pigs will pay for their crimes, eh? Hey, comrades? Hey?
Austin, we won.
Oh, groovy, smashing. Yay, capitalism.
Isaac Brock thing as well. Not only the singer of Modest Mouse, but yeah, definitely a integral figure to the foundation and the formation of what we think of as this country. Some of us even grew up in towns and cities named after this man.
Others carried that effort forward. People like General de Salaberry, citizens like the Voltigeurs who defended Chateauguay, and indigenous heroes such as Chief Tecumseh, who united indigenous nations across the Great Lakes to resist U.S. expansion and protect their lands. They battled together against a common foe. And by doing so...
And that's the only part of that history of Indigenous people in Canada that we need to reference in this comment. Let's not think too much further about any of that stuff.
They made our life today possible. This statue of General Brock that I see every morning in the Prime Minister's office reminds me that when we're united as Canadians, we can withstand anything. Long before Confederation, Our country was forged by indigenous peoples, coureurs de bois and voyageurs, who mapped their continent and built vast trading networks from coast to coast to coast before the Americans had even left St. Louis. When the Second World War ended, Canada was ambitious, determined, and united in a mission to build big things. The St. Lawrence...
Canada, after the Second World War, Canada was united in our commitment to build big things, like a group of Ukrainian former SS members to come into the country and disrupt the Ukrainians' mostly socialist-leaning, Soviet-sympathizing diaspora and bring in a bunch of union-busting Nazis to completely dominate that community. Or like helping engage in these imperialist crimes like the overthrowing of Patrice Lumumba in Congo. We built a lot of things. These are just a few little examples of what Canada was doing during that period, the big things we were trying to build during that period.
St. Lawrence Seaway, Trans-Canada Highway, Expo 67, the CN Tower. We built new neighborhoods for hundreds of thousands of veterans and their families. And
what kind of veterans, though? That's my point. Which veterans are we referring to? Because definitely there were some veterans. I don't think we need to get too into the details of all of the veterans that came to the country afterwards, after the war. We've saluted one of these veterans in our parliament. Just a few years ago. Here's one.
We have here in the chamber today Ukrainian Canadian world veteran from the Second World War who fought the Ukrainian independence against the Russians and continues to support the troops today.
Against the who?
Even at his age of 98.
It continues to what?
His name is Yaroslav Hunka. And I was going to say he's in the gallery, but I think you beat me to that. But I'm very proud to say that he is from North Bay and from my riding of Nipissing Temiskaming. He's a Ukrainian hero, a Canadian hero, and we thank him for all his service. Thank you.
We sure did. We sure did bring in some veterans after the war. And we don't want to get too sidetracked here, but it's especially, I think, sad and upsetting that so many Ukrainians, millions of Ukrainians, heroically fought fascism during World War II. And they were heroes. And then, of course, the Canadian Parliament applaud one of the people who was involved in the SS, that was involved in carrying out the Holocaust and committing mass atrocities against Jewish people and Polish peasants and all kinds of undesirables at the time. And this is who gets applauded in our parliament. And this man says, and every single person in this room is ostensibly like a somewhat intelligent person that has a basic grasp on history. They all clap like seals when this man says he fought the Russians in World War II, and they all clap like seals and salute this guy, including Zelensky, who was in parliament as well. Yeah, of course he blogged about how he loved doing it. Why wouldn't he? It's like we knew what the deal was with this when these people came to the country. It's barely even a secret in this country. It's been openly talked about for years. Let's go back to Mark Carney.
We've begun to make big structural changes in the Canadian economy, and they're all designed to make us stronger at home and less reliant on the United States. On housing, we're taking a solution from the past, modernizing it, and creating a new housing agency to build affordable homes faster and transform the housing sector in the process. It's already up and running. And though we have a ways to go yet, housing affordability is already improving. For example, asking rents across Canada at their lowest level in nearly 3 years. On energy and infrastructure, we're removing roadblocks that have been getting in the way of big projects. On trade, to sell our goods and create new jobs, we're building relationships with other countries. We've signed 20 new deals on 4 continents in less than a year because Canada has what the world wants, from energy to education. We have the values to which most of the world aspires. And we're a reliable partner in a world that is anything but. We're defending Canadian sovereignty by investing in our security and creating an industry to support it. We've embarked on an ambitious new mission to rebuild, rearm, and reinvest in the Canadian Armed Forces, with the single largest increase in defense.
I like that he's not wearing a tie. He's a normal schlub, just like me. Exactly. He's one of us, this guy. And we're all on the same team. Me and everyone in the chat. The average Joe and Jane lunch pail in Canada. We roll up the sleeves of our plaid shirts and we grab our daily allotment of syrup and we just slam it back and we go into our jobs and we put our heads down and get the job done. Just like Mark Carney. Thank you, sir. We're average Joe maxing. And we're Canada mogging anyone that stands in our way.
Defense invest, build, rearm, and reinvest in the Canadian Armed Forces, with the single largest increase in defense investment in generations. As a result, recruitment to serve our country is already up 13%. This is the first time since the fall of the Berlin Wall that Canada will be spending what our allies expect and what we need for our defense.
I mean, this is surreal because like this is something that we keep criticizing Carney over, but then like to Carney, it's like he's bragging about it. How is this supposed to help the average person? We're supposed to join the military so we can be involved in some demonic proxy war for NATO, a military organization designed to increase and protect US hegemony around the world. The biggest threat that this country faces is coming from America. And we're sitting here talking about how we're increasing our financial commitment to NATO, an outpost of American militarism and imperialism. Oh, thank you. This is going to fix all our problems. How is this going to make grocery prices go down? How is this going to make housing prices go down? Toronto wants to host new banks supporting Canada allies military. Banks host country to be chosen in 2026. Canada in good spot, Bank's CEO says. Canada being considered to host an international bank that would finance military initiatives. Toronto hopes to house the headquarters of a multinational bank funding defense and security initiatives of democratic countries. Democratic countries. You know, all these democratic countries like Canada, the United States, the UK, France, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, you know, all those democratic countries.
Canada will be spending what our allies expect and what we need for our defense. And we're just getting started. Our defense strategy will catalyze $500 billion in investment in Canada over the next decade. Our plan for Canada is gaining momentum, and it will work. But we are not going to fix all our problems tomorrow, and there will be setbacks along the way. The biggest payoffs will take time. So we know that Canadians need a boost today and a bridge to tomorrow. That's why, as we build a stronger economy, we're focused on lowering costs for Canadians. On day one in office, we canceled the consumer carbon tax. We cut taxes for 22 million middle-class Canadians, saving a two-income family up to $840 this year.
That's the conservative agenda. Remember that the carbon tax was the conservative political issue in this country for like 7 straight years or whatever it was. And you have our new liberal prime minister walks in, secures a majority with backroom dealings, and then he's bragging about increasing the military spending and slashing taxes, including the carbon taxes. And I'm here to tell you, the carbon tax is not the reason that your life has gotten more difficult if you're an average person in this country. If you believe this idea that it's the carbon tax that's contributed to like your life becoming more economically or financially unstable, I'm afraid you've been misled. And we have this back and forth between the Liberal and the Conservative Party in this country for multiple years about this carbon tax, which Liberals ostensibly supported because it was their policy. And then Mark Carney walks right in and agrees to slash it on day one before even the election even happens as a kind of way to take away the one major issue that the Conservatives have been talking about and campaigning on and building up support over for years. And the very Liberals that supported this for years, they applaud. What did they do? They said, wonderful. Thank you, sir. Thank you. That's how much these people actually believe in these things. And as we've talked about before, the carbon tax is like a neoliberal policy that's trying to reduce our carbon emissions using this kind of market-based, tax-based economic incentives. It's nowhere near enough to actually like contribute meaningfully to reducing carbon emissions. This is like the neoliberal conservative version of this kind of policy. And now we're not even doing that. And you know what else vastly increases carbon emissions, both in this country and around the world? Military spending and imperialism, which we're contributing to. And we're simultaneously talking about decoupling from the United States while talking about boosting military spending. Who are we selling these weapons to? Who are we selling these vehicles to? I'll give you a hint. It rhymes with the shmoo-mited mates of Shmerica.
Cut taxes for first-time homebuyers, saving them up to $50,000 on their first homes. We've reduced tolls for vehicles on the Confederation Bridge and cut fares by 50% on ferries in Atlantic Canada. We've launched something called automatic federal benefits. What it does is it will help 5.5 million low-income Canadians get the benefits that they're entitled to. We've made the National School Food Program permanent, feeding 400,000 children and saving their parents $800 a year on groceries. We're protecting the social programs that give every Canadian a fair chance to get ahead. Childcare, dental care, and pharmacare. We have everything we need here at home. Most of all, we have each other. Canadians are the hardest working, best educated people in the world. We care deeply about each other and about our country. And Canadians have responded to this crisis with that spirit. We're buying Canadian. We're investing Canadian. We're exploring Canadian. Canadians everywhere are all in. We all desire
Doesn't it make you feel
a better
good?
country. We've been a great neighbor.
Doesn't it make you feel good inside, Chad? To feel connected to this shared culture we have and this shared humanity. Now we're all on the same side, liberal and conservative. Mark Carneys of the world, the Weston family, and you. We're all in this together. We're all pulling in the same direction. I know I feel good. I have goosebumps right now. I have chills.
Always willing to help our friends in their times of need. We've stood shoulder to shoulder with our allies in some of the toughest circumstances imaginable. In Kandahar, on Juno Beach, and at Vimy Ridge. We've been a beacon to the world with our values and our ability to always overcome incredible challenges. The situation today feels unique, but we've faced down threats like this before. And in the weeks and months ahead, I'm going to want to talk with you again. I know you have busy lives and you don't need daily interruptions from me. But the truth is, there's a lot going on in the world, and not all of it is good. And the stakes could not be higher. The way we're going to get through this is together. There's much forward guidance to be found in our shared history. We will get through this because of who we have always been. A country of tough, decent, caring people. People who grow stronger in adversity. It's our country. It's our future. We are taking back control to build Canada strong. It's already working. Let's keep going. Thank you for your time. I know it's precious.
Wow. Wonderful. And some people didn't notice, though, that there was a second part of this speech.
Hey, I'm not a lumberjack or a fur trader, and I don't live in an igloo or eat blubber or own a dog sled. And I don't know Jimmy, Sally, or Susie from Canada, although I'm certain they're really, really nice. I have a prime minister, not a president. I speak English and French, not American, and I pronounce it about, not a boot. I can proudly sew my country's flag on my backpack. I believe in peacekeeping, not policing. Diversity, not assimilation. And that the beaver is a truly proud and noble animal. A toque is a hat. A Chesterfield is a coach. And it is pronounced Zed, not Zed. Canada is the second largest landmass. The first and the best part of North America. My name is Joe, and I am Canadian.
I gotta say, I did not expect the speech to go in that direction, but it gives you chills, doesn't it? It gives you chills. It sent a shiver down my spine. I feel good about being part of this country and this shared culture that we all have, this very real country and this very real culture. I feel good about it, and I hope you do too.